Good morning again. As we saw from the last scene, Romeo has asked Friar Lawrence to perform a marriage between he and Juliet. In this next scene, we're going to see Romeo's friends Mercutio and Benvolio sort of laughing at Romeo's expense. They don't know that he's in love with Juliet. They still think he's in love with Rosaline. They know he didn't come home last night, and it was sort of an odd thing. We also know that there's now a letter that Tybalt has written, and it's a pretty fiery letter to Romeo, upset about his attending the Capulet party. We know that when we were listening to the scene at the party itself, Tybalt had mentioned to his father that Romeo was there in masquerade and that he didn't belong there, but his father didn't seem to have much of a problem. That's Juliet's father didn't seem to have much of a problem with Romeo being there. We're going to see in this scene, in the very beginning, how Mercutio and Benvolio are sort of laughing back and forth about Romeo's predicament, the letter again that Tybalt has written, and how Romeo's going to need to respond to it. And then we see Mercutio sort of going on with a bunch of different motifs and stories about different kinds of exploits. He goes in to these forms, and then we see Romeo entering, and Benvolio and Mercutio start to ask him questions about where he was last night, doing sort of like the walk of shame. Here comes Romeo, without his roe like a dried herring. O flesh, flesh, how art thou fishified? Now is he for the numbers that Petrarch flowed in? Laura to his lady was a kitchen wench. Marry, she had a better love to berhyme her. Ditto a cloudy Cleopatra, a gypsy, Helen and Hero, hidings and harlots. This be a grey eye or so, but not to the purpose. Signor Romeo, bonjour, there's a French salutation to your French slop. You gave us the counterfeit fairly last night. So we see that there's a bunch of different images in here, mostly Italian as well as Renaissanceian. Plus, there's also members, the Greek and Roman, um, Renaissance that took place during the Renaissance period, the revitalization, the rebirth of Greek and Roman tragedies. We see that there's a number of different people that are mentioned in Mercutio's speech. They're just sort of laughing and mocking. But then Romeo says, "Good morrow to you both. What counterfeit did I give you? The slip, sir, the slip. Can you not conceive?" Gave someone the slip. I guess it's as early as this time in the 1500s where we sort of get that expression. Someone gave him the slip, like he took off, like disappeared. "Pardon, good Mercutio, my business was great, and in such a case as mine, a man may strain courtesy. That's as much as to say such a case as yours constrains a man to bow in the hams, meaning to curtsy. Thou hast most kindly hit it, a most courteous exposition. Nay, I am the very pink of courtesy. Pink for flower, right. Why then is my pump well flowered? Sure wit, follow me this jest now till thou hast worn out thy pump, that when the single soul of it worn, the jest may remain after the wearing solely singular. O single-souled jest, solely singular for the singleness. Come between us, good Benvolio, my wits faints. Switch and spurs, or I'll cry a match. Nay, if our wits run the wild goose chase, I am done, for thou hast more of the wild goose in one of thy wits than I am sure I have in my whole 5. Was I with you there for the goose? Thou wast never with me for anything when thou wast not there for thy goose. I will bite thee by the ear for that jest. Nay, good goose, bite not. Thy wit is very bitter sweetening. It is a most sharp sauce. And is it not, then, well served into a sweet goose? Oh, here's a wit of chivalry that stretches from an inch narrow to an ell broad. I stretch out for that word broad, which added to the goose provides the far and a wide broad goose. Why is it not thee better now than groaning or for love? Now art thou sociable, now art thou Romeo, now art thou, what art thou, by art as well as by nature? For this drivelling love is like a great nature that runs lolling up and down to hide his bubble in a hole. Stop there, stop there. Thou desirest me to stop in my tale against the hair? Thou wouldst else have made thy tale large. Oh, thou art deceived. I would have made it short, for I was to come to the whole depth of my tale, and meant indeed to occupy the argument no longer. Enter the nurse and her man Peter. Here's goodly gear, a sail, a sail. 2 a shirt and a smock. Peter, anon, my fan Peter. Good Peter to hide her face, for her fans the fairer face. God you good morrow, gentlemen. God you good e'en, fair gentlewoman. Is it good e'en? 'Tis no less, I tell you, for the bawdy hand of the dial is now upon the prick of noon. Out upon you, what a man are you? One gentlewoman that God hath made himself to mar. By my troth, it is well said, for himself to mar. Quoth he, Gentlemen, can any of you tell me where I may find the young Romeo? I can tell you, but young Romeo will be older when you have found him than he was when you sought him. I am the youngest of that name, for fault of a worse. You say well. Yeah, it's the worst well, very well took. Aye, faith, wisely, wisely. If you be he, sir, I desire some confidence with you. She will indict him to some supper. Abawd, 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 so ho. What hast thou found? No hare, sir, unless a hare, sir, in a Lenten pie, that is something stale and hoar, ere it be spent. An old hare or is very good meat in Lent. But a bear that is hoar is too much for a score when it whores ere it be spent. Romeo, will you come to your father's? Well, to dinner thither. I will follow you. Farewell, ancient lady, farewell, lady. I pray you, sir, what saucy merchant was this that was so full of his ropery? A gentle nurse that loves to hear himself talk, and will speak more in a minute than he will stand to in a month. And he speak anything against me, I'll take him down, and he were lustier than he is, and 20 such jacks, and I cannot. I'll find those that shall. Scurvy knave, I am none of his flirt gills, I am none of his skins mates. And thou must stand by 2, and suffer every knave to use me at his pleasure. I saw no man use you at his pleasure. If I had, my weapon would quickly have been out. I warrant you, I dare draw as soon as another man, if I see occasion in a good quarrel, and the law on my side. Now, afore God, I am so vexed that every part about me quivers, scurvy knave. Pray you, sir, a word, and as I told you, my young lady bid me inquire you out. What she bid me say I will keep to myself. But first let me tell you, if you should lead her in a fool's paradise, as they say, it were a very gross kind of behavior, as they say. For the gentlewoman is young, and therefore if you should deal double with her, truly it were an ill thing to be offered to any gentlewoman, and very weak dealing. Nurse, commend me to thy lady and mistress, I protest unto thee. Good heart, and I faith, I will tell her as much. Lord, she will be a joyful woman. What wilt thou tell her, nurse? Thou dost not mark me. I will tell her, sir, that you do protest, which, as I take it, is a gentlemanlike offer. Bid her devise some means to come to shrift this afternoon, and there she shall at Friar Lawrence's cell be shrived and married. Here is for thy pains. No, truly, sir, not a penny. Go to, I say you shall. The afternoon, sir, well, she shall be there. And stay, good nurse, behind the abbey wall. Within this hour my man shall be with thee, and bring thee cords made like a tackled stair, which to the high topgallant of my joy must be my convoy in the secret night. Farewell, be trusty, and I'll quit thy pains. Farewell, commend me to thy mistress. Now, God in heaven bless thee. Hark you, sir. What sayest thou, my dear nurse? Is your man's secret? Did you ne'er hear his say, two may keep counsel, putting one away? Warrant thee, my man's as true as steel. Well, sir, my mistress is the sweetest lady, lord. Lord, when 'twas a little prating thing, oh, there's a nobleman in town, one Paris, that would fain like lay knife aboard, but she, good soul, had as a lief see a toad, a very toad, as see him. I anger her sometimes, and tell her that Paris is the properer man, but I'll warrant you, when I say so, she looks as pale as any clout in the versal world. Doth not Rosemary and Romeo begin both with a letter? Ay, nurse, what of that? Both with an R. Ah, mocker, that's the dog's name. R is for the... No, I know it begins with some other letter, and she hath the prettiest sententious of it, of you and Rosemary, that it would do you good to hear it. Commend me to thy lady. Ay, and 1,000 times, Peter. Anon, before and apace. End of Act 2, Scene 4.